Become who you really are. Jung on individuation. You're not whole yet. Have you ever felt like something in you is missing? Not externally, but inwardly. Like you're living your life, doing what's expected, saying the right things, achieving your goals, and yet there's a quiet sense that you're not fully you. Carl Jung would say you're not imagining it. He would say this is not a failure, but a beginning. It's the call to individuation, the process of becoming your true self. For Jung, this was not just a psychological theory. It was the central task of life. Not to become perfect, not to become happy, but to become whole. Individuation is the long, mysterious, and often painful process of integrating the fragmented parts of your personality into a unified self. It's not about self-improvement, it's about self-confrontation, self-reconciliation, self-becoming. To understand this, we must go back to how the psyche is built. You are born with a vast inner world, full of archetypes, instincts, potentials. But you cannot live all of them at once. So you begin to form an ego, a conscious identity, a sense of I. You learn what gets you love, what gets you punished. You adopt roles. You wear the persona. You suppress the shadow. You project your anima or animus onto others. You become someone acceptable, functional, maybe even admired. But the rest of you doesn't vanish. It waits. Beneath the surface, the unconscious holds all the parts of you that were not chosen. The emotions you denied, the talents you buried, the fears you ignored, the wounds you didn't heal. They don't disappear. They wait for integration. And this is where individuation begins. It is not the building of the self from scratch. It is the excavation of the self, what Jung called the totality of the psyche, conscious and unconscious, personal and archetypal. The ego thinks it's in charge, but it is only one island in a vast ocean. Individuation begins when the ego realizes this and humbles itself. It often starts with a crisis, a depression, a dream, a loss, a moment of disorientation. Something breaks the surface. Something in you says, this isn't working anymore. Who am I really? That question is terrifying, and yet it is sacred. Jung believed the unconscious answers when we ask it earnestly, through symbols, through synchronicities, through dreams, through unexpected feelings and images. And it doesn't just offer comfort, it offers a challenge. Because to become whole, you must face what you've rejected. You must meet your shadow, the parts of you you've disowned. You must encounter your anima or animus, the inner opposite you've projected onto others. You must confront your wounds, not just intellectually, but emotionally. You must stop blaming the world and ask, what part of me created this pattern? And you must feel it. Individuation is not therapy. It is transformation. It doesn't make your life easier. It makes it truer. In myths and stories, the individuating hero must leave home, face trials, descend into the underworld, confront monsters, retrieve a treasure, and return transformed. Jung didn't think this was fantasy. He thought it was a blueprint, a psychic roadmap. The treasure isn't gold, it's wholeness. The monster isn't outside, it's inside. And the journey isn't optional. It is the cost of living authentically. So how do you walk this path? First, you begin to listen. To your dreams, to your moods, to the moments that feel irrational. Not to dismiss them, but to ask, what wants to be seen here? You begin to notice patterns, repetitions, triggers. And instead of running from them, you ask, what part of me is speaking through this? You begin to reclaim what you projected. You realize that the people who irritate you may carry your denied traits, that your obsessions may be mirrors, that your heroes and villains may be shadows of your inner drama. This takes courage, because it's much easier to stay in persona, to remain liked, polished, and predictable. But the longer you do, the more the unconscious rebels. It rebels through anxiety, through compulsions, through emotional deadness, through strange dreams, through a gnawing sense that you're living someone else's life. Jung saw this as the psyche's way of pulling you back to the self. The self in Jung's model is not the ego. It is the center of the whole psyche. It holds the opposites. It unites contradictions. It calls you not to be good, but to be whole. That means you don't erase your flaws. You integrate them. You don't silence your fears. You understand them. You don't aim for a sanitized version of yourself. You embrace your depth. Jung often used the alchemical metaphor of conjunctio, the sacred union of opposites. In individuation, this is your task: to unite the conscious and the unconscious, to balance masculine and feminine, to reconcile instinct and reason, order and chaos, light and dark. This doesn't mean perfection. It means integration. Think of it like tuning a chaotic orchestra. Each instrument, each part of your psyche must be heard, tuned, and brought into harmony. Not silenced, not dominated, but orchestrated. The result is not a perfect person, but a centered one. You begin to act less out of compulsion and more from clarity. You stop blaming the world and start shaping your response. You find meaning not just in success, but in depth. And perhaps most importantly, you become capable of love, not projection, not dependence, not fantasy, but true mutual recognition. Jung believed that a truly individuated person could relate not just to others but to life itself, with reverence, with curiosity, with responsibility. He said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But this doesn't happen automatically. It happens through choice, through dissent, through struggle, and through grace. The path of individuation is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who are tired of the mask, who are ready to meet the mystery, who are willing to be changed, not by society but by the soul. So, let me ask you, if you stopped trying to be what others expect and started listening to the quiet voice within, who might you become? Curious minds never stop. Subscribe to keep exploring.